Hi, we're back again. Today we're going to sew some pouches. This is the small pouch, and we also have a medium-sized pouch. I'm Diane, so we're going to get started. Get out your kit that you got from the center. Inside your kit, you're going to have a smaller bundle and a larger bundle. So we're going to work on the medium size today, so we're just going to put the smaller one aside. In here you're going to have a zipper, a small piece of fabric, and the fabric, two different fabrics. I'm choosing to use this one for the outside of my pouch and this one for the inside of my pouch. The first thing that we want to do is do the zipper. So the zipper is longer than what it needs to be, and so we're going to cover both ends. So if you can see, there's these two ends right here are a different fabric, and that's what we're doing right now. Put your little piece of fabric right side down on your ironing board and fold it in half. Give that a good press. Open that up. Now you're going to bring the top part to the fold line and then the bottom part to the fold line. Basically, we're making our own bias tape. So I've got the top part, I'm just going to flip it over and I'm going to pull this part down to the fold line. Then you're just going to, so the two raw edges are meeting each other on the fold line, and now I'm going to fold that all over so that the raw edges are tucked inside and we have our own bias tape. Now, the only difference between the two bags is the size, and because of that size, we'll need to cut our zippers differently. So we're doing the big, the medium size, or the larger one of the two. We're doing that, and it is 10 inches. So we're going to cut our zipper 9 inches. Now there's a right way to do that, and you want to make sure to follow the directions carefully. The first thing we're going to do is cut off this metal tab at the bottom. So just with your scissors, don't use fabric scissors for this because it'll ruin them. Then this little piece, we're going to put that right inside there, like that. So what we're doing here is covering the bottom of the zipper. As we sew across the bottom, that will lock that so that it will stop and it won't come undone. So now we're going to edge stitch just right along that edge right there. And the idea is that you're going to get you're going to sew both edges at the same time. Back stitch. Now as you come across the zipper teeth, go slowly with your machine, and it will usually just go in between. And then you're going to want to back stitch just along that same line that you just sewed on. So you've gone forward and then back on the same line. Clip your threads. And then clip right along the zipper so that it's just covering the zipper teeth. Now the other piece you're going to use for the other end of the zipper. Now this is very important. Zip your zipper down before you cut it. If you cut it with the zipper pull up here and you cut right here, you're not going to be able to get that zipper pulled back on. So make sure you zip your zipper first before you do anything else. Now our fabric was 10 inches, so we are going to cut the zipper 9 inches. Now on the smaller one, the smaller is 9 inches, so we'll cut the zipper 8 inches. So it's just 1 inch less than the size of your zipper. So I'm just going to mark here at my 9-inch line or mark. So I've got 9 inches. And then I'm carefully going to cut, again, don't use your good fabric scissors, cut across that zipper at 9 inches. Then you're going to do the same thing, just slide that into this piece of fabric that you've made, this bias, and make sure your zipper teeth are close together. And then you're going to sew across that just like you did the other one. Make sure when you slide it under that your zipper, the edge of your zipper tape is clear to that fold line. And back stitch just right on the same line. Clip your threads and trim this off. Now check your zipper and make sure it works. Slides up and down and stop. Now that you have your zipper all done, you're going to sew it to your outside of your bag. You need to sew it 1/2 inch from each end. So you're going to make a mark on both sides. And we're just going to use one piece of fabric right now. So we're going to put the side with the zipper pull against the right side of the fabric. So the right side of the fabric is up, the zipper pull is down. And you're going to line that right up. Except if you'll pull your zipper down, it'll be easier to line that up. So line that right up to your 1/2 inch marks. And you should be even on both sides. So if it's, you just need to make it look even. Then you're going to pin that. You will need a zipper foot. Just get the zipper foot that comes with your machine. Normally a zipper foot looks like this. And you can put your needle either on this side or on this side. So with my machine and my zipper foot, I have to change my needle position to get the needle where I want it to be. So make sure that you figure out how to do that on your machine. And you're going to just start sewing on the edge. You're following this other edge. You're doing a little bit less than 1/4 inch seam. So I'm starting that just right where that tab is that we made. Now pull the zipper tab up. If you always have the zipper tab away from you while you're sewing, it's a lot easier. And once you get about halfway, plant your needle and then pull that zipper tab down. And then it's out of your way and you can sew the rest of that seam more easily. Back stitch. Clip your threads. Okay, so we have our right side of the zipper sewn to the right side of our outside fabric. Now we're going to sew the right side of the inside fabric, the lining part, over the top of that. So you're just going to line that right up, and I find it easier if I put that on the bottom and then sew that on that same stitching line that you sewed the right side of your fabric. Now, depending on what direction you're sewing, you will want to move your zipper, the zipper pull. I'm going to be sewing from this side and my zipper pull is right there. You can always feel it. So I'm going to sew to about right here, and then I'm going to take my zipper pull. I'm going to move my zipper pull out of the way. So we're just sewing right along the same seam that we did before. Plant your needle and open it up and pull that zipper tab down. Now your seam is sewn. Your front and your back on one side of your zipper is done. Now what we're going to do is press this seam toward the outside of your fabric. So just kind of tug it a little bit so that you just get a nice flat press. Then you're going to turn on the other side and do the same thing. Okay, that's one side. We're going to top stitch that using your zipper foot still, but now put your needle on the other side of your foot, so it's right next to the edge of this fabric. Back stitch. Make sure your fabric is out of the way and being straight. So you've got it top stitched on one side. Now you're going to do the exact same thing on this side. So the right side of your zipper to the right side of your zipper pull, lining up your fabrics. Pin that down. Once you get your zipper pinned, the right side of your zipper to the right side of your fabric, using your zipper foot, you're going to sew right down that zipper tape. 1/4 inch, little less than 1/4 of an inch, using your foot as a guide. I'm just guiding the edge of my foot right along the edge of the zipper tape. Taking out your pins as you go. Plant your needle. When you get close to the zipper, open it up and pull your zipper up. Then you can continue sewing without that zipper in the way. So now you have both of your fronts sewn. And now you're ready to sew the back. So where you sewed the back, now you're going to put the right side of your last piece of fabric on next to the wrong side of your zipper tape. Again, turn it over on the other side and you're just going to sew on that same stitching line. Line up your seams. I'm starting down here and the zipper pull is up here, so I'm just going to sew halfway and then I'm going to move my zipper pull. Back stitch. Sewing right over that first row of stitching that we just stitched. Plant your needle and pull down that zipper tab. Sew all the way and back stitch. Now we're ready to press that side. So you're going to pull this really tight so it's tight and flat, and pull this one too, and you're going to give that a really good press. Don't press over your zipper teeth. They are plastic and they could melt if your iron is really hot. So keep your iron away from them. And push this one the same. So there, your zipper is all in. Nope, we have to top stitch this. So we're top stitching close to the edge. Back stitch at the end, clip your thread. open up your zipper all the way. If you forget this step, you're going to sew it closed and you won't be able to get into it. Now pull your front pieces right sides together, and then the back pieces will be right sides together. But notice there's kind of a gap right here. So what you have to do is push this little guy so he makes kind of a bump there so that your seams are together. And line up your seams. Again, we're pinching those together. Pinning right there where we pinched. Lining these together. And these together. On the lining side, you're going to mark 4 inches. So you can just make a mark, and then 4 inches away from that mark, you're going to make another mark. You will start sewing here. So plant your needle, pivot and turn all the way here. Plant your needle, pivot and turn. So you're going to sew all the way around every corner. You're going to plant your needle, pivot and turn, and at this stitching with a back stitch. When you get to these seams here, it's a little thick, so just go slower, and you shouldn't have any trouble with that at all. Change to your regular foot. Start sewing right here. 1/4 inch seam. Back stitch. Whoa, my needle's in the wrong place. When you change from your zipper foot to your regular foot, sometimes we forget to change our needle position back to center, which I just did. Now we'll start sewing. Back stitch. As we come to that corner, we're going to plant the needle when it's about 1/4 inch away from the edge. Pivot and turn. Line up your fabric. Now as I come here, I'm going to plant my needle and just make sure everything's lining up good. Take out my needle, my pin. Now kind of carefully go through here. And you probably will need to, I like to back stitch through there too, just to make sure that that's good and secure there where it's so thick. Okay, we're continuing on sewing around, coming to this last seam. We're going to slow it down a little bit, make sure that we get that good and secure by back stitching. And continue sewing the rest of the way. As we approach this last corner, we're going to plant the needle when we get to about 1/4 inch. Pivot and turn. And sew to our mark, back stitch. Now we're ready to clip corners. To clip the corners, remember we just clipped just a triangle right at that corner. Make sure you don't go into your stitching or you're going to have a hole at that corner instead of a nice sharp corner. Okay, now we're ready to turn the fabric right side out. So you're going to put your hand through this hole if your hole is big enough to fit your hand through. If not, just gather up the fabric and you'll be able to pull it through that way. You're pulling your fabric all the way through. This is why we needed that zipper open. If that zipper wasn't open, we would only be able to pull the lining part, not the whole bag. Use your pencil to get those corners nice and crisp. Just carefully remember, just not a lot, don't push hard or you're going to push right through your fabric. You're also going to use your pencil here. Actually, your finger, push this out with your finger and you can see how it exposes that zipper end. Same thing with the other side. Just push that out with your finger and that'll expose that cute little zipper that we did. Okay, then on this one, you're going to pull these corners out as well. They're not going to stay out like that, but we need it nice and crisp so that we can press that and get our edge finished here. We've got this opening that we need to close off. And I didn't get that corner all the way out, did I? So you're going to fold that and just put those folded edges nice and straight. And then you're going to give that a good press. Now you're wanting to turn it over and press the outside of your bag. You want to make sure that your seams are out and you're not pressing a fold instead of pressing at the seam. Edges over here the same. Pressing makes a big difference in your sewing project, so don't forget this step. It makes it look so much nicer. So your bag is all pressed. Now we're ready just to edge stitch. Now I'm just going to edge stitch the bottom of this. It's the inside of the bag, so it's not really seen. You can stitch this by hand if you want to, but it really isn't necessary. It's inside, and I just do a stitch on there. So you're just going to edge stitch right close to the edge. Stitch. Okay. Now you're going to press that lining inside your bag, and now we're going to push those corners back the other way. So you kind of need to push them back before you stuff them in there. It's easier. Worked so hard to get them poked out the other way, and now we're pushing them back again. So just with your finger, just make sure those corners are tucked in. These corners are tucked out. And your bag is finished. So you can make a big one and a little one. All of the materials are in your kit. Remember, when you do your zipper for your little one, you cut it 8 inches, not 9 inches.